What's up, G Show Land, and welcome to another episode of the G Show Podcast. I am G1, and this is the Geek Out, episode 13. It's been a crazy week, like a legit crazy week. One of my favorite franchises of all time, down the drain. Another one of my favorite franchises of all time, fucked me right in the ass, and it didn't use any protection, so I'm a little bit sore and butthurt. At the same time, Michael Bay, I'm looking at you, fuck. But before we do all that shit, before we get into it, I'm sorry, because I'm still upset with that. Let me introduce you to my panel of guests. Joining me, as always, my right hand on the G Show page, G95 Matt. What's up, my brother?
What's up, G Show Land?
Way to go, Matt. Every week we go right to see Monty, and every week you say, you know what, I can't follow that. So when I go to you, Matt, you go, what's up?
Yeah. I can't think of anything clever. That's why I go first, and then he says the clever thing.
And also joining us once again, Ian, that slamming New York City hero that I'm insanely jealous about. C. Monty, a.k.a. Chris. What's up, my brother?
Clever thing.
Fuck you too. All right, listen. All right, we're starting off this Sunday. It's a good time. We're rocking and rolling. Let's get right into it. Big news, top of the fucking hour. The Star Wars Han Solo spin-off movie has lost their directors, Lord and Miller. They were fired. They were fired from the film with 3 weeks left to shoot. Now, this is humongous because this is if you think about it, it's Star Wars, it's Lucasfilm, it's Disney, and you would think that they run the tightest ship possible. Yet when you hear something, when news of this magnitude breaks, it's such a late stage in the game. I don't mean it's a late stage in the game. They still got to do all the post-production and all the special effects work that they're going to add. But as far as filming goes, 3 weeks left on the set. That's pretty much a wrap. And these guys are out because according to the reports, their version of Han Solo clashed with Kasdan and Kennedy's version of Star Wars. Let me rephrase that. Not only Kasdan and Kennedy's, but the Star Wars universe itself version of Han Solo. They're under the impression they were there to make a comedy, whereas Han Solo has never been a comedian, more like a sarcastic scoundrel. So I'm going to jump to you, Chris, being that you are a sarcastic scoundrel, and I know that because sometimes I'm a sarcastic scoundrel. But none of us own a fucking spaceship, so we can't be that cool. Chris, what are your thoughts on Lord and Miller being ousted from Star Wars, 3 weeks left, and the whole just what they wanted to do as opposed to what should be done?
First of all, speak for yourself about the spaceship thing. You don't know my life. Secondly, I mean, if the reports coming off of it were true, I'm actually surprised it took this long for them to get rid of him. Like, I like Miller, and I'm like, you know, they did great things with 21 and 22 Jump Street. The Lego movie was amazing. So for what they do, what Lord and Miller do for their movies, I appreciate. But I can't imagine them having watched any of the Star Wars movies in the franchise and going into it thinking that they were supposed to make 22 Jump Street in space.
Yeah.
Like, if that's the case, if that's what they thought they were brought on to do, then they really were the wrong people for the project. And like I'm seeing a lot of people in the backlash, oh, they're stifling creativity and, you know, fresh blood, and we need to bring people, like, bring new creative ideas and everything. And that's fine. It's cool to bring in new creative ideas. That's how you get Rogue One. But I don't think anyone who considers them a Star Wars fan wants to see Han Solo in the Ace Ventura movie.
Right.
Which is what a lot of people coming off the set were describing it. People who are on the crew were coming off saying, like, this whole thing is reading like Ace Ventura in space. Nobody wants that for Star Wars. So for Disney to be like, listen, you call it stifling creativity if you want and everything, but this is the wrong move for the franchise. And more often than not, I'm very critical of studios when they do stuff like that, when you clash with the filmmakers. They're like, you know, you got to let these people, you brought them on for a reason. They're the creative types, you're the money types, blah, blah, blah. But in this case, I think Disney, if what the reports are saying is true, Disney is absolutely 100% right for replacing them because they were making the wrong move for the franchise. And, you know, for the people saying, oh, you know, if you bring in Ron Howard, it's going to be dull and bland. First of all, you know, Ron Howard has a few misses under his belt, too. But for the most part, his track record is pretty consistent in the movies that he's directed. He's created some great movies.
Absolutely.
And also, you got to remember that coming up in the game, Ron Howard started off as an actor. You know, he started off as Opie on the Andy Griffith Show.
Yep.
You know, but like one of his first, like, you know, before he started getting to directing, the last movie he did before he started getting to directing was American Graffiti, which was directed by who?
George Lucas,
the creator of Star Wars. So one of the people who influenced his style of directing was the very person who created the franchise he's now stepping into.
And not to mention one of Ron Howard's earlier movies was Willow, which was written by George Lucas.
Exactly. So for people saying that Ron Howard isn't going to get the franchise, like, yo, he mentored under the guy who created the franchise. How can you say he's not going to do something good with it? I'm fully on board with Ron Howard directing this Han Solo movie.
Yes.
I think they should have, if it was a possibility, if he was, you know, into it in the first place, they should have started with him over Lord and Miller.
Totally agree.
So I'm looking forward to see what he does with, you know, what he has left to direct the movie and everything like that. So I'm pretty happy with this turn of events if it gets us something that Ron Howard is going to do something amazing with this movie. That's my personal opinion.
Now, I was totally on board with Lord and Miller when they were announced. I thought it was a great fit. I mean, I just thought that they understood not Ace Ventura comic, because like you said, man, those reports on set is kind of scary. But they understood that sarcastic slapstick. But if you're getting hired on, your pitch, something had to be lost in translation there. But I was okay because I was like, they get it. They'll get it. The banter between Magic Mike and the other guy from Superbad, Channing Tatum and Chub Rock. Yes, it was good. It was slick. And I thought Han Solo's slick. I mean, granted, some of Channing Tatum's lines was dumb, but that was his character. But I thought they had a slick way of dialogue that I think would benefit Han Solo, but then you hear all these reports and it's like, oh no, this shit was alrighty then. And that's not good. But I agree with you, and I want to ask you this, Matt. Besides your thoughts on everything that's happened this week with the firing of Lord and Miller and your thoughts on that, what do you think about Ron Howard? Because I was totally on board with Ron Howard. When they said his name, I was like, it makes so much fucking sense. Ron Howard. Why didn't I ever think of Ron Howard as directing a movie like Han Solo? Would have been a perfect fit from the jump, like Chris said, or just a movie in the Star Wars universe. I think his track record speaks for itself. Yeah, his last couple of films have kind of been meh, but something like Star Wars, something where, he was a part of the game during that time. He understands the way those films were made, that age of filmmaking. He understands. He was ingrained in that. He could have brought that nostalgic feeling back more than J.J. Abrams did because he actually lived during those times and made movies during those times. So let me ask you there, Matt, what do you think of, again, everything with Lord and Miller, and do you think Ron Howard is the perfect fit to come and finish this up?
Well, I haven't seen the Ace Ventura comparisons and stuff. I haven't read those, but I don't doubt that. I just think it's weird that they would be so deep into production and principal photography and they still have no idea that the movie they were hired to make isn't the movie that they wanted to make. Shouldn't somebody have said something a little bit before?
Yep.
So, I mean, you guys, I'm sure know, and I'm sure a lot of people out there know that, executives are kind of a really big thing on movies. There's always higher-ups and suits and stuff on set, usually, kind of calling shots and being like, yo, what's up with this? And I would definitely think for a movie like Star Wars, that would there would be like a whole team of suits there, like 24/7, just making sure, like, hey, why are you doing that? Or don't do this, and it's not necessarily like meddling, but it's like, for a franchise, you got to have somebody keeping it on track. Kind of like a showrunner on a TV series.
Right, good point.
And it just seems weird that they would be so far, like, 4 months of shooting, however many months of pre-production, and nobody said, like, what are you doing? That's kind of weird to me. Or, I mean, maybe it finally just came to a head to where, they're like, you can't handle this. You guys need to get out of here. But, yeah, I mean, I like their movies, and I liked the first 21 Jump Street. I thought the second one was kind of dumb, but that's neither here nor there. I loved the Lego movie. But, yeah, maybe they aren't the best fit for Star Wars. And that's kind of becoming apparent the more news comes out. And, Ron Howard's a great director. He's a, renowned director. It's, kind of actually really impressive that they are able to fire those two and hire someone new on in such a huge, big name like that within the span of, like, a week.
Right.
That's pretty impressive. So, I have faith, like you guys said, that, Ron Howard kind of grew up in this. He trained under George Lucas, more or less. I have every amount of faith that he can make it work, but, what's going to happen with the 4 months worth of footage that was shot? Are they going to throw it all out? Or are they going to reshoot everything? I mean, there's probably going to be some pretty extensive reshoots and rewrites of the script and all that, but it is just going to be, it's going to be kind of crazy to see where things go, because this could potentially lead to the movie being pushed back.
Oh, that would be great. Wow. Out of everything I've seen and read over this past week, that's never come up. That is a great fucking point. That's a great point, man. Wow. Holy crap. Yeah. You have, there's reports, you don't know what to believe. The facts are Lord and Miller are off. Ron Howard is in. But numerous sources are saying, and there's no denying coming from anywhere. Of course, everything is very PC when it comes to their statements. But numerous reports are saying, Kathleen Kennedy just wasn't feeling when she got to see the dailies or whatever when she saw a cut. Just wasn't feeling what was going on. A lot of reports are saying Lord and Miller didn't care what Lawrence Kasdan was writing. Lawrence Kasdan pretty much shaped Han Solo from Empire Strikes Back on. Like, that's him. That's his baby. George Lucas came up with the ideas, but Lawrence Kasdan gave Han Solo the gravitas. Empire Strikes Back notwithstanding. Like, look at it. And then there's other reports that Alden Ehrenreich was actually concerned about the way Lord and Miller was taking this movie and voiced some of those concerns to someone who took that to, like you were saying, Matt, to one of the smaller execs on the set, who then took it to higher ups, which then got to Kathleen Kennedy. And when you have the star of Han Solo voicing his opinion, if this is true, something's wrong. And I give props, if this is true, I give props to the kid, because he's like, yo, I know what this character is. I have to embody one of the most iconic characters in film history. And I have to make it work, or people are going to hate me, and my career is probably going to flounder for it and suffer for it. This isn't it. And if they do have him doing slapstick shit, like a Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura thing, he wasn't feeling it, and he took his concern. I give him massive props for that, because, dude, it's fucking Han Solo. The franchise is on your shoulders. And I don't know him from a hole in the wall. I have never seen his movies. I heard he was great in his little bit part in one of these movies that came out a year or two ago. I don't know him. He has to convince me. So I like seeing and hearing things like that. If they're true, it's okay. Then the actor's on board, and he wants to make the best possible Star Wars movie for what he's got. It's, I mean, this thing is just crazy. 3 weeks left of shooting. You fire your directors. Ron Howard comes on. We're all in agreement here. We think Ron Howard is the perfect fit. It can work, and Lord and Miller will continue to make movies. That's a guarantee. This is not. But here's the thing. This is a crazy little thing. This is the second time now. This is the second time that these Star Wars standalone movies have gotten into some rocky situations. Gareth Edwards, we heard there had to be massive reshoots, and then a lot of people covering it up. No. Everybody always does reshoots. Every movie does reshoots. Okay, that's fine. But there was a lot of talk of, this isn't the movie Lucasfilm wanted, so we have to kind of find that balance in the reshoots. They hire another director. Gareth Edwards was okay with it. He's like, nah, that's cool. I'm with it. And respectfully so, that was what's up. Whereas Lord and Miller was kind of like, this is the movie we want to make. If you don't like it, all right, we're out. No doubt about it. And they left. It didn't get ugly, but Matt, go to you, then to you, Chris. We didn't want to see a Han Solo movie. We spoke about this on the Star Wars podcast a year ago. We weren't even for this thing. Why? But being this is the second time that this has happened in these standalone movies, do you think that maybe instead of running into situations like this because of characters or situations so close and tied into the original trilogy and the Skywalker story, do you think if Star Wars are going to do standalone movies, they should start branching out and doing things that don't coincide with what we already know and seen? This way you can actually have freedom and liberty to do what you want. What do you think about that, Matt?
That's actually exactly what I was about to say. Was yeah, there's going to be definitely much more studio director writer confliction if they keep making movies that are so ingrained in big events in the Star Wars timeline or main characters like Han Solo. And when is a prequel character, when is a prequel to find the origins of a character ever worked? It didn't work with Darth Vader in Episode 3. It kind of undermined him, really, made him a lot less sinister and scary.
Stop it! He killed younglings. Stop it!
Yeah, but no.
Oh God! Yeah. Okay. All right. Why do you have to bring that up?
Yeah. Just making a point. It didn't work with Hannibal Lecter. It didn't work with
Michael Myers.
It didn't. What was that?
Didn't work when they tried to do it with Michael Myers in the Halloween remake.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like that movie, but you're right. It didn't work. It didn't work for Dumb and Dumber. It just prequel to discover the origins of a character and why they're the way they are or whatever. It never works. And Star Wars is a fleshed out universe, on par with something like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. It's so expansive that you could throw a fucking rock in any direction and hit 100 characters or 100 situations that would be interesting to explore. If you're going to go back in the past and kind of to try to explore a sort of untapped part of the Star Wars mythos, go way back. Go Old Republic. Go, the height of the Republic. Go in between that 10 years between Episode 1 and Episode 2. There's so much that we don't need to bastardize beloved characters to do so.
Wow, totally. Damn, man. I had a perfect setup for you, Chris, but then Matt just rocked me right there. So, Chris, same fucking question, man. Jesus Christ. Damn you, Matt. You fucked me up.
I'm sorry. You can cut that part out if you want.
No, not at all.
Fix it in post.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I 100% agree with Matt on everything that he said. Let's see some Old Republic stories. And fuck it, let's go way back to the beginning of the Jedi. Who was the first Jedi? Stuff like that. Or I remember, what was it, a few podcasts ago when we were discussing the Star Wars Day or whatever like that, and all the news that was coming out and everything. And I talked about how I would like to see like a horrors of war kind of movie about stormtroopers, like stormtroopers going from training and going out and everything like that, like something that explores something like that. That first scene with Finn in Episode 7, the whole movie is that. Like that's something I've been interested in. You know, outer rim planets that like are just hearing the news of the Empire and everything like that. The stuff hasn't gotten to them yet. You know, it does. Like you said, this whole expansive universe where there's got to be millions and millions of stories that are completely untold and completely unrelated to the Skywalker canon. So I definitely have to see that. But I think some of the issues coming up too is because that it's stuff that's not necessarily officially tied to the main trilogies. Like some of the people coming on board think they have a little bit more freedom than they actually do. Like, you got to tell us, you can tell your own story, but you still got to make it work within what's already in canon.
Right.
You know, you can tell the Rogue One story, but the Rogue One story still has to line up with everything that happened in Episode 4. And the things that happened between Episode 3 and Episode 4 and everything like that. So you got to have it line up. A Han Solo movie, you can tell that story, but the things that happen with Han Solo have to line up with what we know about Han Solo from the original trilogy. Like, you can't have him be this bombastic, slapsticky character, and then you know by the fourth movie he's going to be kind of like this more subdued rogue, whereas before he was like Jim Carrey in The Mask. You can't have that.
Right.
You know, if Lord and Miller want to do a slapsticky Star Wars movie, give them a Jar Jar Origins movie. That could work. I would... I know what I'm saying, like, you understand, like, that character fits that style of filmmaking.
Right. Oh, boy.
Not necessarily that I want to see a Jar Jar Origins movie, but, like, for this type of stuff that Lord and Miller do and what they were trying to do with the Han Solo movie, it'd be more appropriate for a character like Jar Jar, is basically what I'm saying.
I got you.
So, I didn't mean to throw you off, Rod. I'm sorry.
It scares me a bit. I know it's an example, but it just scares me a bit because...
But, like, that's what's it's like the same thing that people say about with the Marvel movies and everything like that. Like, you know, when we get into these issues with Marvel button heads with some of the directors that come on and everything like that, like, you have to understand that, like, yeah, we want to see your creative vision, but you also have to remember that there's an overall plan that Marvel is going with, that they're building towards in these franchises, and all the individual moving pieces have to fit in with the larger picture. So you can't just do your passion project with something that has to fit into a broader universe. And this is something that, like, is gonna bump heads between creative types and studio types and everything like that, because studio types have to look at the big picture, whereas someone who's more creative is gonna be thinking about, like, oh, I want to get to the truth of the character and everything like that. The truth of the character still has to fit with what's going on in the over. And that's why these shared universes thing, they're tricky. Like, we're already kind of seeing that with I'm sure we're going to get to it, but with a different shared universe where things are kind of falling apart because nobody really knows what they're doing, what they want out of it. You got to make the smaller individual pieces fit with the larger picture. And that's something you have to understand if you're a director going into these movies. If they come to you, if Marvel comes to you, or if Lucasfilm under Disney comes to you and says, hey, do you want to do this movie? You have to know from the offset, okay, I'm interested in doing a Han Solo movie, but I got to remember there are certain things that I have to make work in the broader scale of things.
Yeah, true. We're going to leave Star...
The moral of the story is, like, get Ron Howard to just, like, throw out their, you know, Lord and Miller script, recast the whole thing, reshoot the whole thing, push it back to 2020, and just give us the Obi-Wan movie that everybody's been asking for instead of the Han Solo movie no one asked for.
It's true, but what Chris just said makes some interesting points about the Obi-Wan movie now. Is like, do we really need to? Because you really have to play within a certain part of the sandbox. Your hands are tied. You really can't express or explore. Granted, maybe the shows like Rebels are setting seeds, and I still don't believe in any of that shit. You know, I'm against Obi-Wan having children just because I don't want that to all tie in together. It's convoluted. But I guess the question everybody should ask themselves is, did you really want to see the Kessel Run made in 12 parsecs? Because I really didn't care. I thought it was a cool little story Han Solo got to tell, and I'm happy with that. But speaking of shared universes, because we're jumping a bit, shared universes, this week also we got some. Oh, look at you, Matt! I'm looking at you. This week we've got some stuff in the world of Godzilla news. You know it, I know it. We spoke about this yesterday, me and G73 on the Godzilla Block Party, but Godzilla 2 has officially started production. They're starting to film, and we got an official synopsis, and pretty much everything is where where it needs to be. It's about Monarch, kind of now trying to play damage control because it's out in the open. Giant monsters exist, and now all of a sudden we get more giant monsters in the forms of Rodan, Mothra, and as it said in the synopsis, Godzilla's ultimate nemesis, King Ghidorah. I'm super stoked for this shit. If you guys don't believe me, go ahead and check out that Godzilla Block Party. It's up there on YouTube. But Matt, I know, Chris, I'm going to get to you. Matt, you weren't on yesterday. I know you got stuff to say about this. I want to hear what you got to say about it. Go for it.
I try not to get too hyped up with just like synopsises or anything. You know, I don't let myself get too worked up over that, since it's such, like, they're giving out the most vague details possible, but it is exciting. You know, maybe if somebody were to sneak on the set, maybe they could see some cool monster props or something like that if they are going practical, which, based on what some of the stuff Mike Doherty has said, they kind of want to do some practical stuff, it seems. But, Yeah, I'm more curious about how, like, more kind of worried about it just being bogged down with, like, how are they going to make all the monsters work? I guess, like, how are they going to do it all cohesively and then not be like a 3-hour movie? And, you know, and given to the fan demand of more monster fights, where do you find that balance between at least 4 monsters and a solid story with the just massive cast that they've announced?
Final Wars.
True. Fair enough. You got me. That is my favorite Godzilla movie, so you got me. I mean, the Final Wars plot is...
Oh, yeah, it's all over the place.
It's lacking. And they can't really get away with that in like, an American giant monster movie unless you want to... I mean, well, they got away with it in Jurassic World with just giant dinosaurs and zero plot, but we'll get to that in a second.
We damn sure will. So, Chris, let me ask you, I mean, you're not embedded in the Godzilla fan community as much as Matt and myself are, but, again, we've had those, like, one of our first meetings, and we had these conversations the last time I hung out with you. We had the big conversation that we thought never would happen, and here it's happening, King Kong versus Godzilla in 2020. What are your thoughts about all of this new stuff coming out? And let me ask you a question. Comic-Con is right around the corner. Do you think Legendary might drop a snippet or two, maybe some concept work, some design work, maybe a roar or two? I mean, I geek out. That's what this podcast is. Chris, go for it.
Well, I mean, as far as that goes, they'd be kind of like dumb not to use their platform at Comic-Con to do something to entice and excite the fans a little bit. You know, even if it is just like a little bit of concept work or whatever like that. That's pretty much all Comic-Cons are used for now, is for these studios to self-promote their projects. It's kind of sad in a way because of what the Comic-Cons were originally supposed to be, but, you know, everything goes commercial eventually.
Right. Good call.
That's a topic for a different podcast.
That's a topic for Comic-Con in 2 weeks. We'll be podcasting all about that.
But, I mean, it is true, like what Matt was saying, and I'm saying I do 100% agree with that. Like, we overstuff a movie. Like, we've seen examples in the past Like Spider-Man 3 had a tough time balancing two villains, three villains, whatever like that. You know, because you need time to introduce the characters that you're using. Like, you know, you're going to do a Godzilla movie. You can't just toss King Ghidorah out there and Rodan and Mothra. And you can't just throw them into the movie and expect fans to know what's going on. People like you and Matt and me and everything like that, me to a lesser extent, who are kind of already versed in the Godzilla universe and everything, kind of understand who these characters really are. Like, yeah, you could throw out and you could make a movie for fans like us who'd be like, oh, I know who that is already. I don't need any backstory or anything. But for mainstream audiences who are just kind of getting into Godzilla for the first time, you know, these little kids who are just experiencing this for the first time because it's a whole new proper generation, to just have these monsters appear. And people are going to be like, who's that? What the fuck is going on? Where's this guy coming from? You have to set up backstory. So you're trying to do backstory for 3 new monsters now. You know? While trying to overall plot for the movie. Things get convoluted and confusing. And that's where the problems start happening. I think it's better to kind of do, for now, Godzilla fighting one monster at a time, or maybe 2 monsters at a time. I think you could fit backstory for 2 monsters, you know, small backstories or whatever, like the 2 monsters, while still dedicating time to the overall plot and introducing other characters and everything like that. But when you start getting into like 3 or more, you're trying to balance too many, you're trying to juggle too many apples at once, and one of them is going to fall.
The one that's going to fall, unfortunately, for me is probably Rodan, because Mothra is just too big of a character. I love Rodan. It's one of my all-time favorites, but, you know, I think that's... Mothra and Rodan, they getting hacked up in this. But, I mean, the Mutos worked. They really didn't need a big backstory for that. I guess it's because of name recognition. People be like, no, we got to know what's this. But, again, that being said, Kong Skull Island, that end credit sequence, kind of set up that there was these things, that there is a mythology about it. You know, these creatures kind of have existed if you believe these cave paintings. So in that regard, I think there's groundwork already laid. The foundation's there. Now you just build upon it. Now, Godzilla 1, G14, open that door. These things are real. They exist. We just saw Hawaii and San Francisco be decimated. And now you got these greater threats. And however they're going to utilize, you know, Rodan and Mothra, because we already know King Ghidorah that's the end-all be-all. And I'm still holding to my belief. King Ghidorah is going to be the main villain in Godzilla vs. Kong. It's going to be like BVS, only better, because it's giant monsters. But yeah, and I guess, Matt, I guess we're kind of used to, and even Chris, like you said, to an extent, but we're kind of used to these plots that it doesn't really matter. It's pretty much Monster of the Week flavor type of deal, right? Like an Ultraman or something like that, or even Power Rangers for you younger generations out there. Monster of the Week feel, the hero's Godzilla. He's got to fight them and kick some ass, and if that's what the filmmakers, or even, let's say, Legendary is trying to go for, that original Showa era, you know, 60s, 70s flavor where a monster pops up, Godzilla goes, fights it, end the movie. Everybody goes home happy, eat a bunch of popcorn. Matt, do you think that we are more accepting to that? Or are you on... Because I do understand both sides. You know, but as a fucking giant G fan, you know, I'm kind of more lenient and accepting of, the plot's what it is.
In this day and age, like, yeah, if it was like a low budget kind of, you know, more fan project, totally. But in a big budget thing that's made to make money instead of to appease the fans, ultimately, you know, that's ultimately what it is. They're gonna have to integrate a plot. Like, just saying, you know, what's that 3-headed gold thing? Where did that come from? Oh, it's from space. Can we explore that anymore? No, that won't work anymore. That worked then. That worked in the show era. That doesn't work now.
Right.
And like, if they did try that, if they did try to, like, well, you know, he's from Planet X, and that's all you need, and that wouldn't work. I feel like a good chunk of sure, like the G fandom would be like, oh, you know, like throwback, like reference. Sure, yeah, that's cool, but we'd also be kind of pissed. Like, really, they spent all this fucking money to give us a new Godzilla movie, and they just half-assed it. Like, come on.
So basically, Chris, no rehashing of the original 60s and 70s movies, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with him. I don't think that, like, for instance, he brought up the things like, oh, who's this guy? Like, oh, he's from Planet X. And then I poses the question to the audience, okay, what's Planet X? How do we know about it? How come we've never heard of this before? He's like, oh, he's from Planet X. The fuck is that?
Yeah.
People need a little bit more plot detail now. One question I want to pose to you, though, since you kind of brought this up, like you kind of did, like, you can't just do it like Batman versus Superman or whatever like that. Do you think that if Ghidorah is going to be the main villain, like a Batman versus Superman style Kong Godzilla fight, that Ghidorah is going to come up with this elaborate plan where, like, he makes it look like King Kong has been, like, destroying the city, and, he makes it look like Godzilla's employee has returning all his checks and saying, you betrayed our family, and kidnapped Godzilla's mom.
You asshole.
And then, like, there's a point where Godzilla has a spear to King Kong's throat, and King Kong's like, you're letting him kill Martha!
Mothra!
Yeah,
Why'd you say that name?
Mothra.
Why'd you say that name? You know what I meant,
We're going to get this King Kong versus Godzilla movie.
No, I meant as far as BVS goes, man. Come on, everybody knows. You got the two marquee names.
You made that BVS comment, and I had to go with that joke
because it's the only thing you can actually relate it to. If what I'm speculating comes to pass, that's the only thing you can relate it to. BVS is the most recent, and again, we all have our varying opinions on the movie. Successful in the box office to an extent. It didn't make Marvel numbers the way they thought it was. But, it made its buck, and let's see about the course correction from here on out. Wonder Woman is a great example of how we go forward with DC. But again, that being said, King Ghidorah fills that Doomsday slot. Godzilla and King Kong fill that Batman-Superman spot. And now you just got to make sense of it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it works. But again, it's giant monsters. We're already suspending.
It's just now that I've made the joke, I actually honestly want to see a Kong versus Godzilla movie where Ghidorah has, like, this elaborate plan where he pits them against each other.
King Ghidorah is actually they're taking a page out of M. Night Shyamalan. He's gonna be like split. So This head has got one personality. This head is all like hell no, and then the last head is looking at the middle head like, well, you got bad breath. And that's a Monty Python reference. People, get on it. But speaking of getting on, let's jump off of Godzilla for a bit, but stay with the giant monster dinosaur thing, because this week, Jurassic World 2, we got a title for it. And, I thought about it a little later. It makes sense to get it now, because Comic-Con is in, 2 weeks? It's right around the corner. I'm positive we're going to get a teaser trailer. I think, actually, it was confirmed that we're going to get a teaser trailer at Comic-Con, but the title for Jurassic World 2 is The Fallen Kingdom. So, Chris, what do you think about the title, and are you anticipating this teaser trailer?
I mean, I'm anticipating the teaser trailer. I feel like the title's trying to make the movie sound more serious than it is.
Yeah.
Like, Fallen Kingdom is something you call, like, some movie about the war in the Middle East or something like that. Like... it's a little too heavy-handed for me for, like, a movie about giant dinosaurs just fighting each other. I'm excited for Jurassic World, for all its faults, was a fun movie. I don't expect the franchise to be as serious as Michael Crichton intended with the original thing, like man playing God and all that stuff like that. They've kind of moved away from... They moved away from that in Jurassic World 3, where the raptors started learning how to talk. So I don't expect it to be as serious anymore. Well, actually, they moved away from it in Lost World when Ian Malcolm's daughter fought raptors with gymnastics.
Yo, I'll be honest with you. I can't lie. Every time I watch that sequence...
No, it was an awesome scene. It was an awesome scene. It was a fun scene.
I still jump, though.
Once you get to that point where she's using gymnastics to fight raptors, you can't take that franchise seriously anymore.
Ah, come on, man.
Like not in the like, you know, exploring the true nature of man as God kind of way that Jurassic Park was originally intended.
This just goes to show you that Ridley Scott needs to make a kung fu gymnastic fighting aliens in the next Prometheus movie.
Oh no, if they have Predator doing Jim Carter to fight aliens, I'm totally on board for that. I want there to be a scene where the xenomorphs are chasing the Predator and he just happens to run across a pommel horse and starts doing like all kinds of crazy flips and kicking him in the face.
Yes.
Because that scene was amazing. Not to get off that, but that scene was amazing in Jim Carter where the guy's running and in the middle of the village square, there happens to be a pommel horse. What? But that aside, so yeah, like I'm looking forward to Jurassic World, the sequel. The title seems a little bit too serious to me for where the franchise is at right now. But, you know, I'm not stressing it too much. It's title.
Right.
Not that big of a deal. You know, it's the same thing with Transformers The Last Night. The Last Night. Fuck you. Like, I know we're going to get there. We're going to get there. But yeah, I'm excited to see if they drop the trailer and everything. I'm excited to see what's going to be happening in the movie. I'm looking forward to an actual scene with Chris Pratt riding a raptor this time. They better do it. I want Dino Riders. I was promised a Dino Riders movement in the trailer of the first movie. They didn't give it to me. I need my Dino Riders moment in the sequel. Make it happen.
Matt, what about you? Well, you kind of already said a little bit about Jurassic World 1, how you thought it was, like Chris, I enjoyed the movie. I didn't think it was spectacular, but I had fun with it. I'd throw it on every now and then just to watch it with the sound ball blowing up. And, you know, come on, man, that last fight is such a, you know, throwback to old school kaiju flicks, man. That's what we love. But let me ask you, what do you think about the title, and are you anticipating a teaser trailer at Comic-Con?
I agree with Chris. I think the title is a little heavy-handed, but it is a title, so it's just kind of like whatever. But more than I'm anticipating to see the teaser trailer, I'm anticipating to see if they make a good movie this time. Because they didn't before. Yeah, I really, really didn't like the first Jurassic World. I mean, I love Jurassic Park. Everything after that has just been nonstop disappointment to me. I thought The Lost World was boring as shit. Jurassic Park 3 is just kind of silly. And Jurassic World was just dumb. It was just stupid. Like, I fucking hated the kids in there. I hated them. I was like, just get eaten. Just die.
Oh my god! Why didn't we do a review on this? Like, this should have been one of the spotlights in that now defunct podcast we used to have. Holy shit! I had no idea you felt like this.
I didn't like it. There's nothing. They were just awful. Like, I haven't seen the movie since I saw it in theaters the night it came out.
Man, I've seen that movie at least 5 times. And like, I think I would go back at least once and give it a shot, but I feel like I'm just gonna hate. Like, I'm just like, oh, I forgot I hated that part so much. Yeah, it's just. So, well, all right. I forget the director's
They're
name.
trying so hard to make it cool and edgy, and it's like, oh, this is multiple dinosaurs in one, and it has camouflage, and it can talk to the raptors, and it's like, oh, just shut up. I'd rather see the credits, honestly. I would rather watch the credits of that movie than watch it again.
Oh, my God.
So, I'll give Fallen Kingdom a shot. I will. I'll give it a fair chance. Hopefully it'll be better. Hopefully, maybe in some kind of, if they do the whole, like, human dinosaur hybrid soldier thing, that would be cool. I would see that. It wouldn't work for Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
the franchise, really.
That's like more Carnosaur.
Yeah, you already done fucked up the franchise with Jurassic World, so like I'll take anything at this point.
I can't. That's I really want to have this conversation with you someday soon. Like, that's a good one. That's That's funny. I think what if the Fallen Kingdom is actually a jab at the franchise?
That would be amazingly meta. That would be amazingly.
I mean, look, I'll be honest with you, and I think I've said this before. I like Jurassic Park 1, but I am not in love with that movie like the way I should have been. I grew up loving dinosaurs. Like, that was my shit. This is why I love Godzilla so much. But I just like, And the fact that it was my main man, Spielberg, you know, I like The Lost World a lot better than Jurassic Park 1. And while I won't go as far as saying I like Jurassic Park 3 as much as Jurassic Park 1, I enjoy the shit out of that movie like I enjoy the shit out of X-Men The Last Stand. But I like Jurassic World, I can't lie. But, you know, man, we're going to have that conversation. I'm looking forward to this. I want to see why it's called The Fallen Kingdom. This is actually one of my most anticipated trailers at a Comic-Con. Because there's really nothing. This and Pacific Rim 2. There's no way we're not getting a Pacific Rim 2 trailer. So between Jurassic World 2 and Pacific Rim 2, those are my two most anticipated things. Unless they're going to, you know, give us a taste of some Infinity War, but that's the Comic-Con podcast. We'll talk about that next week. Let's jump off. Infinity War, speaking of superheroes. Chris, you brought this to my attention this week. This is fucking crazy. We know Venom, Sony is doing a Venom movie. Last week, I believe, or the week before, Amy Pascal said that, yeah, these movies are kind of connected, meaning, you know, Spider-Man Homecoming, which is a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the Venom movie, which is not. But according to Amy Pascal, it is. Now we're getting...
And then the video came out with Kevin Feige. They're like, bitch, you cooking?
That was the Ben Affleck moment that I've been waiting for Marvel. And I hate to sound like a bitter DC fanboy right now, but that was it.
What?
That was so funny. That was like Kevin Feige's face was brilliant. I could not stop laughing, and he was just look at his eyes. It's just, they tell such a story. I loved it. But
that's the thing I want to go back to. I want to mention that Matt kind of called this on last week's podcast when we first discussed it, where like Matt was saying like that sounded like Amy Pascal trying to sound like she had more control over the situation than she did. Because now that people have been highlighting in that interview that Kevin Feige's looking at her like, the fuck you talking about? I think that's exactly what happened. Like, Amy Pascal was reacting to the fans complaining about a Venom movie without Spider-Man. She said some shit like, oh, yeah, Spider-Man can show up in these movies. And Kevin Feige's like, not our Spider-Man, not the Spider-Man that we agreed upon. Like, that's not happening.
Well, Kevin Feige can say it all he wants, because guess who is appearing? Segue. Carnage. Carnage is going to be... Cletus fucking Cassidy is going to be in the Venom movie as the villain. I have mixed feelings about this because, A, I still don't believe we need a Venom movie, but it's Tom fucking Hardy. And, you know, unless they just said, hey, Tom Hardy, we're going to give you about $60 million to do this. You're not going to see a script until the day we start shooting. And he said, okay, that's one thing. But I'm just like, I believe in that dude enough to say, you know, I'll take this and I'll run with it. This fucking dude was Bane in a Nolan movie. Okay, so think about that. And he's going to be in Dunkirk, another Nolan movie. But Cletus Cassidy's Carnage in a Venom rated R movie. Now this goes against everything I said before. What I would think, what I would want to see, which was like the Flash Thompson version, Venom as a soldier. You know, where you get a little gritty and grimy and do a completely different thing where you don't need Spider-Man in there. Because now Venom would be, let's say, you know, working for a government and doing these, you know, black ops missions. This is different. I mean, maybe you can still do it, but I doubt it. This is different. And
you could. That's how you said that's how you could, but that's exactly how. If you did it like an Agent Venom thing, Carnage could be another soldier in that program.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where I was going. But it's crazy because Carnage is in legit, like, I'll never forget because I own those books. His first appearance, I own those books. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I was buying them. I was just buying Spider-Man comics when I was younger. And I loved it because it was so different. And seeing Venom now all of a sudden have to be this anti-hero, have to, you know, this was what Venom was doing, but not as not as hardcore as Carnage was killing everybody. I mean, seriously, Maximum Carnage, he's in Central Park, and he's gutting a couple that's, on one of those little horse and carriage rides. It's insane. So I'm looking at this, and I'm like, okay, Carnage is in this, in the Venom movie. It's rated R. How much blood and guts are we going to get? But most importantly, I want to ask you guys this. This is my main question. Besides, what do you think of Carnage being in there? Who do you think should play Carnage? And I want to see if you guys, if we have the same idea. So, Matt, I'm start with you. What do you think about this Carnage being in Venom? And who do you think should be cast to play Cletus Cassidy?
I think adding Carnage is the only way to go if you're not going to have Spider-Man in it. It's the only way to make it work. And as to who should play Carnage, I think it should be someone unassuming, but you can tell there's something like off about them. They just kind of have like a different sort of vibe, kind of look. I think he's much too old, but Steve Buscemi kind of has like maybe channel some of his Con Air, kind of his character from Con Air. I think that would work because he was like really charming, but he's also this vicious serial killer.
Wow.
And I think it could work, but again, he's much too old. But somebody who has that kind of in that same vein of they're just kind of a slightly different looking person, and they're charming but unassuming, but you can tell there's something kind of off about them.
Steve Buscemi, by the way, is in Transformers The Last Night. Just want to throw that out there. He's a Transformer. He sucks.
Oh, really?
And he sucks. But I'm sorry, Matt. I just had to throw that in there. Oh.
No, that was it. I was done.
Chris, the Steve Buscemi thing, that's left field. I like that. Chris, what about you? What do you think of Carnage? Who do you think should play him?
I mean, yeah. Like, I kind of agree in the sense that, like, if you're going to do independent of Spider-Man, you're going to do a rated R Venom movie, then it makes sense to have Carnage. I'm still kind of, like, not sold on the Venom thing. Like, especially now if Amy Pascal's serious about wanting to try and figure out a way to integrate Spider-Man into this universe, then it makes sense to wait. Let Spider-Man pick up the symbiote from Infinity War, build from there.
Yes.
That's my idea. But if you're going to go completely independent of that, then yeah, having Venom go up against Carnage in a rated R movie makes total fucking sense. Now, I am going to give you guys the name of the actor who I think should play Cletus Cassidy's Carnage. I think he's the perfect choice. And not to sound too cocky, but I think once I throw the name out there, you guys are going to be like, you know what, Chris is 100% right. Cillian Murphy.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Cillian Murphy, who played Scarecrow in the Batman and the Dark Knight franchise.
Too many Batmans in my Spider-Man.
Him and Tom Hardy have a history of working together. They play well off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
They did it in Dark Knight. They did it in, I'm not sure if you guys ever saw Peaky Blinders, but they had like this kind of animosity towards each other in that series.
That's on Netflix, right?
Huh?
That's on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Okay. It's on Netflix. Cillian Murphy has that look that Matt was talking about where he seems like, a nice, unassuming, somewhat charming kind of dude, but there's something in his eyes that makes him look dangerous. I think Cillian Murphy is the perfect choice for Cletus Cassidy.
Fuck, that's a good one, too.
Well, he kind of played a character similar,
Red Eye.
Yeah, Red Eye. That's where I was going. Yeah, he's really charming in the beginning of Red Eye, and then he just snaps and just, like, switches on a fucking dime. And it's a credit to him as an actor. And you're right. You're totally right. He does have that look. And, yeah, you sold me. You're 100%.
So, yeah, I'm sure Sony's going to go with whoever they think is best. But if I was casting this, I wouldn't even look at any other actor. I'd be like, Cillian Murphy, however much money you want, come be Cletus Cassidy in this movie.
That's really, man. Because I love the Steve Buscemi thing, but damn, you're right. That Cillian Murphy thing. You know what? I'm not even going to say my pick now. Y'all can go kiss my ass. That was good.
Who's your pick? I'm actually legitimately curious.
Yeah.
Jackie Earl Haley.
He could be a good one, too.
I mean, Freddy Krueger aside, his Rorschach, I really dug the shit out of, and he's got that look. He's already ginger. you know? Or you want to get fucking crazy, Ron from Harry Potter. That dude's due for a breakout. Harry Potter's making his movies. Emma Watson's doing her damn thing. It's time. I think Ron actually has a TV show. I forget his fucking name. I feel so bad. But
it's a TV show based on Guy Ritchie's Snatch.
Yes, yes.
Not based on his Guy Ritchie Snatch, but they made a TV series out of it.
That's exactly what I saw, and I was like, "Holy shit, they're making a Snatch show, and Ron's in it." If you want to go,
it'd be interesting to see if he has the range. It would be interesting to see if he has the range.
Think about it. Could you imagine he goes crazy? I've seen Harry Potter go crazy in horns, so it's time.
I mean, I like the Jackie Earl Haley, whatever. I think he airs a little bit too more on the side of crazy looking.
Yeah, and he kind of
if we're looking for someone that has like that kind of unassuming but could be crazy, Jackie Earl Haley is too much to the side of like this dude is there's definitely something wrong with this dude.
Now I'm gonna it's not showing age because I'm pushing 40s, but the reason why I picked him is because for me, and it's crazy, and then there's no line. When I was reading the Amazing Spider-Man comics when Carnage was introduced, and I saw Cletus Cassidy, he had that wild look in his eyes. I mean, he's a serial killer. Eddie Brock is not a serial killer. Venom really wasn't a killer. He killed people, but this dude was a serial killer, and his old birth came about when the symbiote broke Eddie Brock out of jail, and a little piece was there, and it went on Cassidy's hand, and boop, went crazy. But the look that Mark Bagley drew for Cletus Cassidy, when I saw Jackie Earl Haley, I swear, I was like, oh my God, this dude would be a phenomenal Carnage. And this is years ago. Like, just out of it, I was like, man, that's what I always pictured Cletus Cassidy to look like. So I don't know nowadays, because I literally just like fell off that whole Venom wagon shit in like 15 years, 20 years maybe. If it popped up in a Spider-Man comic, I was getting cool. But outside of that, I wasn't actively going to get a Venom comic, nor Carnage. So I don't know what they made Cassidy look like now. Cillian Murphy's great. As far as if I'm looking at it more as an aesthetic thing. He looks the part. But I think all three of us, perfect choices. Steve Buscemi, like, that fucked me up. Because I was like, that, because he's got the crazy look. Cillian Murphy, that shit is, that's really on point. And like Matt said, with Red Eye itself, that switch is, that's a good one, man. So I think all three of us have a solid argument as to who we would like to see play that. But damn, man, that Murphy one. It's just too many Batman villains in my Spider-Man villain movie. I don't want to see that. But all right. Speaking of villains, it's Michael Bay. Before I get into that, let's get to this box office, because this is kind of big, and this is a question I really want to know. Maybe it's me, but I would like to hear y'all opinions on this. Okay, so I'm talking some box office here. Transformers: The Last Night opened this past Wednesday, right? So 5 days at the box office. Right as of right now, the Sunday take is not in 100%, so we don't know exactly where it's going to land. But as of right now, in 5 days, Transformers: The Last Night has a domestic box office of $69.1 million. That's a lot of money. But it is the lowest of the franchise in opening weekend so far. And again, we don't know where it's going to end up at the end of the day. The first Transformers movie held that record at $70.5 million. So, I mean, it's right there. It's neck and neck. And we don't know if, I mean, this movie could make $3 million today and overtake it. We don't know. I'm sure that's probably going to happen. But as of now, fifth film in the franchise, it's still a low number, regardless if it overtakes the first one or not. Still a low ball number for domestic box office. Internationally,
especially having been out 5 days.
Especially been out 5 days. That's exactly and this is where the next point is insane. Internationally, and I'm talking China. China alone. The Last Night raked in $41 million. $41 million in its opening day. One day. What the fuck? Now, China is what pushed Age of Extinction over $1 billion. And a lot of that had to do, and we had this conversation in a previous podcast, location. Chris has said, well, you use these international locations and that market ramps up. And it's true. You see that in the Fast and Furious. You see it in this Transformers thing. I think it was Ghost Protocol where they were in Dubai.
Yeah.
You know, ramped it up. $41 million in one day for China is crazy. As of right now in China, as it stands, it's weekend, or I don't know if it opened on Wednesday or not, but right now it's at $123.4 million in China alone. That's, close to doubling what, what we've got. So now, that being said, The Mummy, which I saw and had the misfortune of seeing, it's not as bad as Transformers Last Night, I'll tell you that much. But The Mummy also tanked at the domestic box office, but internationally, it made some buck. It made bank, it made buck. So my question to you, I'm going to start with you, Chris. Does the domestic box office mean anything if the international box office can make its money back and then some?
No. No, the domestic box office for big tentpole franchise movies hasn't meant anything for a while. It's why you get so many reports of them catering more to international markets. You got this thing where even in some of the Marvel movies and everything, that where a lot of the scenes get rewritten to be more friendly to China's market and everything like that. Where it's it's just the sign of the times, man. Like the international market means a lot more than the domestic market, because as much as we love to go see movies and everything like that, domestically, the numbers just aren't enough here to support these franchises on their own. These franchises need the international market.
Yeah.
We're not going to see movies the way we used to. There's too much access to it through other means. Yeah. So we're not going out to the box office and everything. But it's also the same thing. Like, you never know what's really going to impact the numbers and everything. You look at Power Rangers, which tanked domestically, didn't do that great internationally, and for a brief period of time, we were all under the impression, them talking about six movies or whatever, we were all under the impression Power Rangers as a franchise was dead in the water. Then the numbers came out about how many toys they were fucking selling. And now it's up in the air about them making a sequel because they're selling so much merchandise tied to the franchise. So whereas at the end of the box office totals, both domestically and internationally, it was pretty apparent that Power Rangers, the sequel, was never going to happen. Now the studio's looking like, we might not have done that well in the box office, but we're selling crazy amounts of toys. Maybe it's worth it to do a sequel just to keep selling the toys. So you really never know, as far as the money goes, what's going to impact the success rate of a movie.
That's a very good point.
And it also depends on the studio, too. Like, Pacific Rim didn't do all that impressively, either domestically or internationally, but it's still getting a sequel because Legendary believes in the franchise. Like, you never know where a studio is going to make its decision from. But I do feel like the evidence has been showing over this last 10, 15 years that the international market is way more important than the domestic one. It's just the reality.
Great points. Matt, what about you? You hear these numbers, you see how, just in China alone, it's crushing. What do you think?
I mean, can't really say anything to Tess said, like, the why of, like, these movies doing so well overseas and in China especially, it kind of baffles me that, Transformers always consistently does so well over there. But yeah, I totally think it's, foreign markets now are as important or more important than domestic ones. Chris, like, I couldn't have said it better myself than what Chris said. That's probably, that's why we get these big movies set in other, parts of the world. We get that's why they get like international trailers and trailers exclusive to certain regions and all that. And yeah, I mean, we're all kind of, the globe is kind of bound by, the internet and stuff now. Before we were separated, but now we're totally, kind of together. And so now these studios have to cater to these other places, because these other places now make a difference in, how much these studios get to take home in terms of profit.
Right. It's kind of crazy when you think about it too. We have, these what's the word I'm looking for? Advances in movie technology now. You have these 4D things coming out where it's like this virtual experience in the movies. They spray water at you. They put certain smells to make. They move the chairs around to make you feel like in this movie. It's kind of like Star Tours in Disney. It's like, oh shit, you're fully immersed in the movie now. 3D. It's like everything is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But then the domestic box office is getting smaller and smaller for these movies that these theaters are made for. And it's crazy to see that. And look, it's what it is. Let's be for real here. The China market is crushing it when it comes to these movies right now. But they are also one of the leading fucking markets of bootlegs. And that's crazy. And that's been like that since, way back when. Let's be for real. Chris, you know this, man. You're from New York. Call a spade a spade. Who got the bootlegs? More than likely
Chinatown.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? And that's a fucking fact. Like my parents, that's what it is. They be getting their bootlegs, and it'd be from, and beautiful woman, but she'd be coming in with her little suitcase and open that bag, and she just so happens to be Chinese. They don't.
Just like when you saw the bootlegs being sold in Harlem and other parts of it, they got them shits from Chinatown.
Exactly. One of the biggest purveyors of bootlegs is China, and yet they are crushing the market as far as giving these movies the money. The question is, do these movies deserve the money? You just stick around for a minute, and we'll get to you on that one. But it's kind of baffling, because here we are, Hollywood. We're making these fucking movies, and shit. Not even 10 years ago, they were made for the domestic thing, and like you would see the money come out of domestic, and the international market, it really wasn't that big. But as the market starts to expand, more and more markets, and I'm not geopolitical, so I really don't know that shit that too much, but it seems like more and more of these countries are, let's say, free of oppression. More and more of these movies can get to certain markets that they couldn't do 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's just boom. Like, American cinema is boom. I mean, but think about it. Like, you look at something like Bollywood, for instance. That's a huge market. Bollywood is a huge market.
Bollywood is the second biggest market in the world next to America.
Next to America, right? And there was a movie, a sequel at that was in theaters earlier this year. That was number 2 at the box office domestically. And I forget the name of the movie. I don't remember it, but it was a Bollywood movie. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, that's what's up. That's fucking crazy. Because when have you ever seen something like that? You don't. Now, again,
and I've been noticing more and more, like walking into theaters here in New York City, seeing advertisements for Bollywood movies. Like big displays, too. Like big posters, the cardboard cutouts and everything like that.
Oh, I can totally see that.
But I'll tell you the exact moment that I realized that the international market was more important than the domestic one. When Winter Soldier came out. Okay. Winter Soldier came out.
This is interesting.
It opened in international markets before it did in domestic. Like, international markets got Captain America. It's a movie called Captain America. And it opened in places before America got it.
Star Wars.
They were opening an international market. A movie called Captain fucking America. And you're opening it up in Japan before America gets it.
Most of these countries change that name. They don't call them Captain America, right?
I know.
That's a crazy thing. Star Wars does it too. Star Wars always opens up in London. It opens up in England. You know, they do it in Pinewood Studios over there. It's just, I wouldn't say baffling, because I could see the allure. When growing up, when you start realizing, you start seeing different countries and their taste in things. I'm gonna use an Arabic country. I think it may be Saudi Arabia, maybe Dubai. I don't know, but more Arabic countries. You see, as I was coming, a lot of fast cars, pretty slick, gorgeous cars, right? Zooming up and down these young dudes or young people with money, you know. They buy these cars and they just, I guess, ingrain themselves in this culture. And Michael Bay, to his
police cars in Dubai are Lamborghinis.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. And Michael Bay caters to that. Michael Bay caters to slick-looking cars. And I will say this, and I'm going to talk about the cars aren't bad. And I'm not a vehicle dude. Listen, what has four wheels and drives? It's good enough for me. That's it. I don't give a fuck. I can drive a bus, a van, a slick car. I don't care. But the aesthetic is pleasing, it seems, to the foreign markets. And I think that's where... Because unless, and I swear to God, as I was watching this movie, I'm going to talk about... As I was watching this movie, the only thing I kept thinking about is how much money is this going to make internationally? Unless the people are going to make fun of America. Because that's the only thing I can honestly see. Is this movie is so fucking bad that people are going to see it just to laugh. This is a comedy for them. This is the Hangover for them. Matt, you got any last words on this topic? Because
I think part of it is a little bit of what you were saying, and I think I might have touched on this in a previous podcast, probably when we were talking about a Transformers trailer. But I think, part of the reason, like you mentioned that, like, domestic box office numbers seem to be kind of going down, and I don't think that's, it's going down for shitty franchise movies. It's going down for The Mummy. It's going down for Transformers, but it's not going down for, Marvel movies. It's not going down it didn't go down for Wonder Woman.
Right.
It did better than everybody expected. But, it does, movies like Transformers do really well in foreign countries. You guys said it, might be because of the change of locations. I think it might be because of, like, the overwhelming amount of, like, Americanism kind of in these movies. Like you mentioned with, like, the Middle Eastern country and the cars and stuff, that's, like, a very American kind of aesthetic. And
it's like a novelty for them.
Yeah, well, a lot of other countries really like that. Yeah, it is kind of a novelty. They associate America with, fast cars, hot girls, and explosions. And that's exactly what Transformers is. And just that might be why they do so well, because they kind of... Transformers and similar movies kind of represent what their idea of America is, if that makes any sense. But that's just my theory on it. That could be, totally wrong, but that's...
Well, it's probably like a combination of all those things.
Mm-hmm. I totally think the whole, like, other, like, shooting in other parts of the world kind of adds to it, too. But, that's just what makes sense to me, is that it kind of... They're seeing these movies to see, like... maybe they are making fun of, like, oh, this is what Americans like? This is ridiculous. It's so stupid. Or it's like, wow, Americans really live crazy over there, There's fast cars and hot girls and shit going crazy just all over the place. Is that what it's really like over there? Because a lot of these people don't know. Just like we can't attest to what it's like living in China.
That's true. That's true. Well, listen, oh man,
See, like the question for me becomes, and I'm going to set up your next transition, Rod, for you.
Thank
the
you.
question for me becomes like, as a fan of good cinema, because Matt mentioned about how the domestic numbers are going down for like shitty franchises and everything like that. My problem with the international numbers now is that it's actually saving franchises that should be left to die. The money.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Rod, do your transition.
That being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final topic of this podcast, G1's Transformers The Final Night review. All right. Before I get into it, let me crack my trusty Bud Light. Because I'm going to be honest here, guys. I'm a fan of Transformers. Not the Michael Bay movies. I like the first one. I really do. But as a fan of Transformers, dating back to the early 80s, I am 100% disappointed. I'm going to go and I'm going to say this, though. Is this the worst Transformers movie out of the bunch? In my humble opinion, no. I understand why people think it is. Trust me, I do. But that second Transformers movies, what was it? Revenge of the Fallen was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Period.
I'm standing under the robot's testicles.
I hated that. I really did. Now, before I get into the review, let me preface it by saying Wednesday, had my tickets. We were going Wednesday night. I came home from work. I work early. And I had enough time to watch Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction. And I did. I watched them through means we're not going to talk about. I actually rented Age of Extinction because I wanted to see it, like, legit. And I'm going to say this. While both movies are not good, if you take away the shit potty humor, they're decent. They're not extravagant. They're decent action films. The last hour of Dark of the Moon in Chicago, and Chicago's going to play a big part in this fucking because it's stupid. But that last sequence in Chicago in Dark of the Moon is some really good shit. You take away the stupid humor, it's really good. Age of Extinction, same thing. You take away and this is what it is, the overly sexualizing a 17-year-old girl. Come on, Michael Bay. For real? And take away some of the corny jokes. There's a couple. And it's okay. I could pass that. It's way better than the second movie. It's not as good as the first. To me, the first one is really good. I enjoy that one. But Transformers The Last Night. What the fuck? One of the reasons why I love Transformers, the series, is continuity. They keep it in check. They know what they're doing. From the 84 cartoon to the 86 movies, which is still the greatest reigning champion of Transformers movies, to after that, to Beyond, to Beast Wars, where they incorporate the Generation 1 lineage, and it all connects. All of that. I'm a sucker for continuation. That is one of the perfect examples of continuation. The Last Night, take anything you've ever seen before in a Transformer Michael Bay movie and chuck it out the fucking window. This makes no goddamn sense. Now, again, because of this, people say it's the worst Transformers movie. I don't, because I hate that second one. But continuity-wise, this is terrible. It's a fucking horrific mess. Two things work as far as continuity. Optimus Prime floating in space, because that's what happened at the end of the first one, given the same message he did at the end of not the first one, of the last one, Age of Extinction, and Marky Mark's character, Cade Yeager, working with the Autobots, because at the end of Age of Extinction, Optimus Prime said, you need him and they need you. Talking to his Autobots and talking to Cade Yeager. Fine. Okay. The movie starts off in Chicago. In a desolated zone of Chicago, a decimated zone of Chicago. I'm lost off the bat because in Transformers Age of Extinction, Chicago's back to normal. It's been 5 years after the third movie, after the fall of Chicago, and Chicago looks brand new. Chicago looks like the world came together and fixed the shit up. That's in the fourth movie. In the fifth movie, there is a quarantine zone. where there's dead Transformers and alien technology just laying around. Okay, why? If they couldn't, why didn't they fix that? They fixed everything else. They fixed everything else. This is still fucking Jack. Okay, mistake number one. The little girl, it was Isabella Mona. She's prominent in all the trailers. She's in the movie for 8 minutes total. She doesn't die. They show her. She disappears for most of the second and third act. Then she comes back. What? It's stupid. In an age where you have characters like Rey, characters like Wonder Woman, characters like the three girls from the movie where they were the NASA experts. What's the name of that movie? You know, come on.
Hidden Figures?
Yes, Hidden Figures. Strong female characters. You would think now you have a young 14-year-old girl in the role of a strong female characters for young girls probably going to see this with their family. No, she's in it for 8 minutes. Terrible. What the fuck was that about? The fact that she lived in this quarantine zone because her family were killed by the Decepticons in Age of Extinction, which happened 5 years prior to the fourth movie. And if my math is right, this looks like it's a year later. So 6 years. She's been living in there since she was 8 years old in the quarantine zone. Like, this doesn't make sense here. But that's what was stated. Okay. You got the medieval times. There were Transformers that landed on Earth eons ago. They give you the reason why Transformers keep landing on Earth, and it's stupid. But eons ago, Transformers were there. Merlin, played by Stanley Tucci, if I'm not mistaken, is a drunk, stupid wizard. He's not even a wizard. He's just a drunk, stupid man. And it's stupid. It pissed me off. I'll accept the fact that he's a drunk dude, but I won't accept the fact that he's making jokes in reference to modern times. It doesn't make any sense. This is 1600 years ago. He should not be making any type of reference or cultural references to now. Strike. Terrible.
Can I give the example?
I forgot. That's how terrible it was. It really was. It was stupid. I was mad. I was sitting there like, this is the beginning of the movie. Now, the movie starts and it's a pretty fucking awesome action sequence, and I'm sitting there saying, yo, Michael Bay should direct like a night movie, you know, where King Arthur's knights and the Saxons were fighting, and it looked really good. Like, you know, when Michael Bay gets in and zones in, he's really good with action. That was fucking great. Then Merlin pops up, and it's just like, I'm like, okay. That all being said, there were 12 nights or however many nights with the round table. Transformers. One of them is in Chicago on a ship. Apparently there for 6 years. I'm sitting there lost because I'm like, I just saw the third movie. In the third movie, all the Transformers in the ship were Decepticons. And the ones that weren't Decepticons were the Autobots. And I could guarantee you that none of those Autobots was an ancient Transformer Cybertronian knight. But yet there he is. There he is, stuck in the ship. And I'm there. This is where continuity explodes. From that point on, it just becomes a clusterfuck of shit. Mark Wahlberg is not good. The little girl's in it for 8 minutes. She's not good either. They bring back, I forget his name, Simmons from previous Transformers movies. He's terrible. The name, and this is, to me, this was the biggest offense for me as a fan of the franchise. The name dropping. They drop names, and you know, as a fan, you're supposed to be like, oh shit. For instance, Optimus Prime, it becomes Nemesis Prime. Now, Nemesis Prime is a cool fucking name, and I like Nemesis Prime because I like the original use of him. But this, girl, Quintessa, which is the creators of the Transformers, just basically reprogrammed. She put him in a trance. She hypnotized him. She reprogrammed Optimus Prime. You're now known as Nemesis Prime, and you will destroy the Earth for me. Okay, all right. Like, it was just so, like, Michael Bay could give two shits about that. That was one. Another one, Megatron. What? How the fuck did he become Megatron again? Because he was Galvatron at the end of the last one, and now he's Megatron again. He was a truck in the end of the last one, but now he's Megatron again, and he's a plane again, and he looks completely different. And why? How? What happened? I don't know. And why the fuck is Barricade there? Barricade died in the first movie. Why is he there? Because if you could just resurrect Decepticons, why can't you resurrect Autobots? You know, bring back Jazz, bring back Ratchet, bring back Ironhide. I don't know. Why the fuck? These are the things that make me go crazy, and it's stupid. I don't understand. This is a type of movie where they say, well, you're supposed to take your brain out. For this example, if you take your brain out, you might as well kill yourself. Because you're going to have to scoop and keep scooping. Your eyes are going to pop out. Your eardrums are going to fall out. You're not going to be able to see or hear this movie. You're not going to be able to experience. Because that's how stupid it is. And that's how dumb it wants you to be. It makes no sense. Hot Rod's a French fucking guy. Why is Hot Rod a French? Why is Bumblebee, whose origin was told in the first movie, why has Bumblebee been on Earth for like 80-something years? Why has Bumblebee fought in World War II with a platoon of fucking British and U.S. allies? What? Absolute terrible shit show of a fucking movie. And the coup de grace. This is the big thing. This is where I was like, okay. The name drop of the fucking century, Unicron. Yes, because Unicron is in this movie. Or is it? Straight up. This is how I took it. Michael Bay just saying, fuck what the fans think. I don't care. She's talking to Optimus Prime, the Quintessa chick, which, by the way, if anybody knows their Transformers lore, Quintessa is actually the name of the Quintesson's planet. But I'll take that. I'll take it. It's cool. Sounds like a girl's name. It'll work. She's a Quintesson. She created the Transformers. They got that right. She straight up tell you, do you know why the Transformers keep going to Earth? Because Earth is Unicron. And that was it. And that was it. That was it. That was it. And it cut to another scene. And I'm like, wait, what? Where's the mystery? Where's the suspense? Where's the setup? Earth is Unicron? What the fuck is... No, what? Now, I'm going to say, I wanted to walk out of that movie twice, but because that was already established, I wanted to see how far they went with it.
For a second.
Yep.
They said that Earth is Unicron?
They said that Earth was Unicron, and then they cut to another scene.
Fuck every last part of this franchise.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm done.
You don't understand how mad...
You don't like the Michael Bay Transformers movies after finding out that Earth is Unicron. You have no business calling yourself a Transformers fan.
And that's the whole thing. That was the whole reason why the Transformers keep coming to this planet. Like, in the beginning, this was like, they keep coming to Earth. Why? Because Earth is Unicron. What does that fucking mean if they want to go to Cybertron? Because apparently they're the enemies. And this was kind of set up in later Transformer lore. I think Energon, Cybertron, and I forgot the first part. Armada. With Cybertron, and then there was Unicron, and they actually were entities that fought each other. And it was also set up in the comic books way back in, like, the mid-90s. And they were entities that actually fought each other. But never once was Unicron Earth. No, Unicron is Earth. So I don't know if the Transformers are supposed to be white blood cells and antibodies going to stop an infection. That's why they keep going to Earth. I have no clue. If that was the Quintesson's purpose of creating the Transformers, to send them to Earth to fight, no fucking clue. It doesn't make sense. It killed me. It killed me. It killed me that the fucking U.S. forces would make a deal with Megatron. What? Megatron 6 years ago led a fucking army of Decepticons and wiped out half of Chicago. But let's make a deal. Let's make a fucking deal. We're hunting the Autobots who saved you, but let's make a fucking deal with Megatron to release 5 or 6 baddest of the bad Decepticons from prison. And I'm not lying when I say this. They were in jail. Not like robot jail. Like in jail. Yeah. There's a fucking Decepticon hanging out with a bunch of inmates. Wait, what? This is the type of stupidity. This is where I say, this isn't just take your brain out. This is go kill yourself. It sucks. It was absolute shit. And again, I still... Like I said, it's the second worst movie of the franchise because I despise that second one. But man, oh man, I'll tell y'all people, stay away from this movie by all costs, by all means. And this is why I don't understand why in some place like China it makes $41 million. I hope next weekend it makes $4 million. Seriously, I hope everybody saw it and was like, you know what? Nope. But is the damage done? What?
But I hope next weekend it makes $0.
This franchise needs to end here and now. and it's set up because Unicron never comes. It sets up for the next movie. You got the Dinobots in there, and at the end of the movie, the Dinobots aren't there yet. The Dinobots would have been there, and it would have made life easier for the Transformers to get to where they got to go to do what they got to do. But the Dinobots aren't there. Why? They never explained it. Well, no, because it'd be too easy. Well, the fuck, this movie's stupid as it is. I cannot recommend this movie. I tell everybody, stay away. I'll tell you this right now, Matt. Alien Covenant was the one I hated the most this year so far. No. I don't think anything is going to top this. I do not. I wanted to go into this movie, and what I tell you the other day, I wanted this movie to be my Independence Day resurgence. No. It was more like Independence Day regurgence. It was disgusting. It was disturbing. It was vomit put on film, and Michael Bay is laughing all the way to the bank, and it hurts. It hurt. Look, I don't do this shit in the movie theaters, but I was in that theater, and every time I disapproved of something, I made it vocal, and I made it loud, and I don't give a fuck, and I wanted somebody to say something to me. I would have fought them in the theater. I didn't give a fuck. That's how angry this movie made me. I was like, that's stupid. This is pointless. This is dumb. Really. So, you know, if you feel like you need to watch it, bootleg it. Get it from China, matter of fact. Get it from Chinese bootleggers. You know? Because they already put all the money into this, you might as well. But don't waste your time. Don't waste your energy. Don't waste your brain cells. I can think of you know what? You could do crack and it'd probably be better than watching this movie. Straight up. And I'm not promoting drug use, but I'm just saying. It's the worst. And I really hope Michael Bay does not come back to this. And I really hope whoever does anything going forth, change it. Because it's not just the potty humor now. It's incohesive, it's indecisive, and it doesn't make any goddamn sense from what you already established in the franchise. Even when you said the last movie was going to reboot. If the last movie rebooted, you cannot reboot again. It doesn't make no fucking sense. It's a shit show of a movie, 0 stars. And that's it. And that's it. That's my review of Transformers the Last Night. Which, by the way, let me ask you a question, Matt. Transformers the Last Night, who is it?
Is it Optimus?
Chris, Transformers the Last Night, who is it?
Last name shit, first name I don't give a.
Pretty much. It's Mark Wahlberg. Oh, real quick, I want to throw this out there for all of y'all who are fans of Shia LaBeouf. Guess what? He's dead. He died. And
what's it in the movie?
Because
I read something where it's like it's kind of out in the open, like it's up in the air, but
it's vaguely past. So Merlin apparently is a real guy. He has a staff that the ancient Transformer gave him to have the Cybertronian Knights transform into that 3-headed dragon that we see in the trailers, and that defeats the Saxons. When Merlin died, they buried him with the staff, and they buried the staff with him, and they buried him underwater in a big Cybertronian ship, blah, 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 blah. It looked like Vector Sigma, the key to Vector Sigma. I thought that was cool, using visual cues for something that's completely not what it originally was intended to be. But the Merlin line survived, and they became the Witwickens. And that's where Anthony Hopkins comes into play. He is like the guardian of this lineage of people. He watches over the museums. He knows the secret history of Transformers. And the girl that looks like Megan Fox, who's British, is the last descendant of Merlin. And as they're showing all the descendants, like fucking Leonardo da Vinci, and all of these people you would know, the last one they show is Sam Witwicky. So if the girl is the last descendant, Sam Witwicky is dead. Fuck you, Shia LaBeouf, apparently. And that's a damn shame. Because you know what? I kind of like that kid. But yeah.
Well, that's what you get if you say some shit about Michael Bay in the press.
Yeah, pretty much. You get replaced by Megan Fox clone, and then you die.
Well, like, Megan Fox's career was kind of, like, Michael Bay kind of made sure it was ruined. Like, she hasn't done anything big since the second Transformers movie.
Ninja Turtles.
Really? Well, Ninja Turtles, yeah. But that's because she had to personally apologize to Michael Bay a few times.
I mean, let's not give him too much credit. A lot of that has to do with Megan Fox being a shitty actress.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, listen, we're gonna wrap it up, man. This review I went overboard with. It just sucks. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time at all. This movie does suck. And again, I'm not gonna say it's the worst one I've seen. There are a couple of things that I not enjoyed, but I was like, okay, I can dig it. But the name dropping on just some passive shit really pissed me off because it's like, fuck you, old school Transformers fans. And the incohesiveness is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It's action sequence after action sequence with no rhyme or reason. Fuck, homeboy, the dude from the first 3 movies is in it, and there's no rhyme or reason for him to be in it other than he's there. Okay. What? Stupid, but okay. So yeah. Transformers: The Last Night, officially the worst movie of the year. I'm guaranteeing it. I'm putting a stamp on it. It's fucking finished. I will be really shocked and surprised to find another movie that comes out this year that I want to see that's as bad as this movie. Because I honestly, and this is a franchise that I love, not the movies, not Michael Bay's franchise, but Transformers in general. And boy, oh boy. Yep. So that'll do it for today's episode of the Geek Out. I want to thank my esteemed panel for hanging out with me and powering through that last, 15, 20 minutes there. So, yo, Chris, man, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for geeking out. Yep.
Next time when both of us tell you it's not worth going to see this movie, you'll fucking listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt, you going to throw that in my face too?
I mean, Chris and I didn't see it, and we're much better off for it. The whole angry rant thing.
Yeah. Well, I guess that'll do it. Thank you guys for being on the show. Thank you guys for listening to the show. I am G1, and my brain is hurting. We're out of here. Peace.
Bye.